Forbes India presents ZPay Crypto Simplified.
Hello and welcome to Crypto Simplified, where we attempt to demystify cryptocurrencies. In today's episode, we have with us Crypto Wendy, who has been involved in cryptocurrency full-time since 2018. She is now an authoritative voice on the subject with millions of views for her content on various social media platforms. Hi, Wendy. Many thanks for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about crypto.
Thank you. And you've had a fascinating journey before even you've gotten into crypto full time. In that, I read on your website that you worked in healthcare at the largest infectious disease company in the world, and your role was primarily to work with those who were, newly diagnosed and the existing patients to coordinate their care. What brought you from there to crypto? If you could, briefly summarize that journey, because it wouldn't have been an easy switch, although it did, have some element of technology in it, in that you were working on a CRM tool, perhaps, but that's a pretty big leap.
Yeah, so prior to crypto, I worked full-time in infectious disease, and most of my clients were HIV/AIDS. And what we had to do was to manage their care. And part of what, yes, I do have a tiny bit of a math background because I did eventually want to become a pharmacist. But my most important task of my job was really getting to know each individual client I had, because all of my clients weren't just from a particular group. They're all from different cultures. They had all different backgrounds from different subgroups. So getting to know them was most important. That was the best way for me to do my job. Because if you don't take time to get to know somebody, you can't provide them the proper care. If you just look at them as a number, and if you're just shuffling them in and out, you don't get to know them. You don't get to kind of communicate with them. Communication is so important for so many different cultures. And so basically what happened was I was working in healthcare and I had a very far commute. I used to work 4 10-hour shifts a week, and my commute was 3 hours round trip. And I had a young daughter at that time. She was brand new. And I was missing out on a lot of stuff. So during that time I was in school, I wanted to become a pharmacist because I thought in the United States, that's the only way you can make, a 6-figure job. And in California, you have to really make 6 figures to kind of live because it's so expensive to live here. That's what our cost of living is. So I was like, I'll just go to pharmacy school. Well, I started going to school and started doing research on the matter. And when you work in healthcare, you don't get any salary raises. You kind of go in, you're capped at a certain amount. Okay, great, fine. But it was kind of the same thing over and over again. So I wanted to get a better quality of life for my family. So I went back to school. I realized becoming a pharmacist wasn't for me, but it was good because I established a very heavy math background. And in the United States, STEM subjects are not prioritized. I believe in India, they are. People are more focused on math and technology. And I think that is so, so amazing. But in the United States, we don't see that. We don't learn a lot of that stuff in our public school. So I went back to school and I was like, I'm going to work in business. I'll get a degree in business. I want to become an entrepreneur anyway. So I heard about Bitcoin back in like 2011, 2012, but I didn't start investing until 2017, because back in 2011, 2012, there wasn't really like an on or off ramp for fiat currency. But in 2017, you could use Coinbase. So I went ahead and then I invested that way, and I just kept educating myself. And here I am today, which is kind of weird. I know it's a very different industry, but realistically, when you take out, when you kind of look at it, my job was communicating with people, was, kind of educating them, inspiring them. And I feel like that's some of what I do today on my YouTube channel.
And it doesn't seem like it was a long time ago. 2017 is not like 25 years ago. So when you, and lots has changed in the crypto world, cryptosphere in this short period of time. So when you got started, how did you, figure out which information to trust, which sources to go to? You now create content that is being consumed by, millions of folks around the world. But at the time when you were starting out, where did you go to? How did you teach yourself? And this is for all those individuals who want to start, not to mention their own content platforms, but just to get their heads around this subject. So how did you begin?
So what I started to do first, I really had no idea what I was doing, because a lot of people, they see cryptocurrency and they think it's super tech heavy. It's a little bit scary. It's like, what is this stuff? Because I feel like we're also used to tangible things. We're used to being able to touch money, to touch objects, to touch art. But when we're talking about crypto, the metaverse, NFTs, Bitcoin, you don't really get to touch anything. But at the same time, your different altcoins or your Bitcoin, you can use to purchase tangible things like food, maybe paper goods, maybe, whatever it may be. So realistically, it was kind of a hard thing. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I really liked crypto. I thought it was cool. So I got on crypto Twitter. I saw all these avatars posting charts and I was like, oh, okay, I can teach myself how to do this, because I'm a very big believer in self-education. So I took 10 minutes out of my day while I was still at my old job. And on my lunch breaks, I would take that time and I would read about crypto. I'd read about blockchain. I'd read about dApps. I'd read about NFTs. I'd read about all these different things. And I taught myself how to trade. So then from there, I said, okay, this is really cool. I was able to teach myself a lot of stuff. So I started posting content on Twitter. People liked it. And then I was like, I want to kind of expand on this. I want to continue to learn more. And part of the way I'm able to learn is by communicating with other people. So I was like, I'm going to start to host my own events. So I was able to find an OTC desk in San Pedro, California. They allowed me to host my free crypto networking technical analysis event. So what I would do is I would live stream those on my YouTube channel to my audience, because I wanted to be able to teach people what I learned in a very easy to understand way. And then plus I had audience members that were maybe from India or maybe from, different parts of the United States, and people wanted to kind of see what I was doing. So then I started streaming those because I thought it was important to be inclusive to everybody, because a lot of the crypto events are still kind of really expensive. And I feel like it's not necessary. Like I get it because it's a business, but at the same time, I wanted to create a really cool community of like-minded people that wanted to learn more about crypto. And the best way to do so was hosting a free networking event and kind of live streaming these. And then I did that, and then kind of just started creating more information on YouTube. And I always advocate to my audience, like, to do your own research. And when I say do your own research, it's not just like a lame statement. It's really listen to what I say, take that in, and then start to look at different sources. Because you're obviously going to have a different opinion of what the current news is. So listen to me, listen to this person, and take all that information and then decide whatever it is that you want to do, or how you want to invest, how you want to trade, and how that information impacts you. So I think it's important to look at different sources and make a decision that way.
And you said you spend 10 minutes a day. So the trick is to start somewhere, even if you start small then.
Yeah, just take a little bit of your time. And I think one of the things that we take for granted as a society in general, like everybody in the world, like how powerful our minds are. We like to work our bodies out and stay fit, stay in shape, but we forget sometimes our mind. And I'm a firm believer that even if you're learning something new every day, whether it be a definition or a spelling of a particular word, or maybe a word in a different language, it helps to expand your mind. And it forces our mind to kind of grow and kind of create some positive health mentally for ourselves. So that's what I did with crypto. I just started with silly things like, what is blockchain? What is Bitcoin? What is P2P? Like those, like the little tiny, like small things like that. Like I started researching different trading indicators. But I think if you spend a little bit of time every day researching different things, you're going to find a niche. You're going to find something that resonates for you, and then you can kind of build off that way. That's
amazing. And in fact, talking about things that keep moving in this industry, one is the jargons. I think that some of them are quite silly, and a few others are entertaining as well. Whether it's hodl, which was done back in the day, or sharks and whales. So it's a different world altogether. And what would you make of fast forwarding to today? And during the times that we are recording this video and the podcast, is the crypto market is not exactly an advertisement for steady returns, or rather it is more towards it being very mercurial as such. And the graph, if anybody has to see, if I were to introduce this to my mom, for example, hey, this is a good way to park some of your savings there, and she'll say, what are you talking about? I could see some money here one day, and the next day it's minus 30% down. So although I'm not going towards the investment yet, but how can a regular guy who is used to very safe asset classes, so to speak, view cryptocurrencies? Or is the question itself wrong, that it is not meant for something to be looked at in a few weeks' time or a month's time or perhaps years? How would you see the recent crash in that context?
So there's a lot of things to unpack in this question. So first and foremost, when we talk about crypto as an investment, Bitcoin is an investment, but Bitcoin also can be a hedge against the US dollar or whichever native currency you're dealing in, because things around the world are so unpredictable today. And I'm sure it's impacting India, it's impacting the United States, it's impacting Russia, like all these different places, El Salvador. So we have to look at Bitcoin as multiple different things. It's an investment, but it is also a hedge. And when we talk about a hedge, just because a hedge is supposed to help protect you against something, nothing in life is ever 100% sure. Like, for example, we can set up this call for this conversation, but just because we set and we both confirm, it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to show up and that you're going to show up, because we have outside factors that are kind of impacting it. So the first thing to do is, like, when I'm talking to brand new people about Bitcoin, you brought up your mom. Well, you don't want to show her one of those charts. That was your first mistake right there. You don't want to show her the chart, because she's going to see all this stuff and she's going to be like, what is he talking about? How does this relate to me? But what you want to do is, when you're talking to a brand new person, you want to find out their hopes, their dreams, their desires, what makes them happy, what gets them excited. So for example, when I talk to my mom about Bitcoin, my mom's a little bit older than me, and my mom is always concerned about leaving something for her kids. So I say, well, if you want to invest in Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a hedge against the US dollar. It's it's kind of like digital gold. It's like digital real estate. Obviously there will be ups and downs, but at the end, if we take a look at previous history, then we're seeing, returns. It's kind of like a 401k or an IRA, which is like a safer way that you can invest in the United States traditional finance. And to my mom, that's like, okay, I'll invest in it, because then I can leave it to you, when I do pass away. So it kind of depends who you're talking to. And you want to make sure that you understand that person, you understand their culture, you understand who they are, and get to know them a little bit, and then talk to them about Bitcoin. And then as far as somebody else, it might be a little bit younger who has a larger, risk investment. Jumping into altcoins is fun, but at the same time, a lot of people have this misconception that if I'm going to invest in an altcoin, I'm going to get rich right away. And that's not how it works. Your best bet is possibly looking at Bitcoin. When you're looking at altcoins, those are more risky. And that means if you don't know how to trade, if you're not a savvy investor, you're probably going to lose your money. So instead of focusing on that kind of stuff, yes, you can paper trade, you can, create these different scenarios without putting capital in, and you can kind of educate yourself on that. I think it's important for everybody in crypto to do so. But I really think a great way for people to get started in crypto is to simply dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And what that means is, let's say you make $100 every week. That is your paycheck. And you have different, because I don't know what the base salary is in India, but this is just an example. So basically people want to go ahead, they want to create a budget for themselves and their families. How much are I going to pay for housing, for food, for bills, like different things like that. And then if you have any money left over, that would be known as disposable income. And maybe you want to take that income because you've paid your bills, you have a roof over your head, you have food on the table, your family's taking care of whatever it is. You want to take that disposable income, maybe it's $20, and say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take this $20. I'm going to buy Bitcoin every Friday at noon. And again, not financial advice, you guys. This is just an example. But in that sense, you're taking money that you might have spent like on a date or buying, clothes, like things that you might not necessarily need, but you want to take that money because we can consider it as disposable income. If you lose it, it doesn't matter. If you do well with it, that's great. But you want to take that, and then you can go ahead and invest in Bitcoin and then kind of hold on to that for a long term, get a little bit of skin in the game. Obviously, it has to make sense for you and your family. You want to do what's best for you guys. But then you kind of, once you own Bitcoin, you can kind of start learning about crypto and how cool it is.
Right. And is Bitcoin, of course, there is Bitcoin at one end and altcoins, which are anything that is not Bitcoin is considered to be altcoins in the layman's terms. And you mentioned it's a hedge against the US dollar, much like a hedge against inflation here in India. Is it similar to digital gold because you can only mine X many million Bitcoins and not beyond them, just like gold, which is infinite capacity in the world? Which is different from an altcoin where they may not have any of such rules. So does that make Bitcoin a little more, this is again not investment advice, but perhaps, more tangible or a long-term investment compared to some other altcoins, which may have fabulous practical applications in the near future. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin has value because people believe that this is what its value should be on that date, much like for gold. Is it faith then? And is that one way for newcomers to get into perhaps? And
Yeah, I think that's actually a great explanation because Bitcoin, there was only 21 million Bitcoin that was ever created, and you can't make more. And like people can kind of argue about gold. They can argue about like, can we make more gold, whatever it is, because obviously the earth produces a certain amount and then it's in different places. So maybe a better explanation would be to land. I don't think you can really create more land. Land is there. So real estate might be a good explanation. Like you can't make the earth bigger. You can't create, you can make more man-made land, but people would debate about that. But Bitcoin, there's only 21 million that were ever made. The reason why it holds value is because, again, people do believe in it. And there's a lot of really cool aspects that it has. And altcoins, I see so many people think that I'm going to get rich with altcoins. And that's not going to be the case unless you're a savvy investor and you've taken the time to educate yourself. One of the biggest mistakes people made is I bought this because so-and-so talked about this and they did no research. And realistically, buying crypto is hard. It's not really easy to do. There's a lot of steps. So you can't really blame the other person because you took the action to do it. But unless you've really kind of educated yourself about this, there's no reason why you should be investing in a riskier asset when you could invest in Bitcoin. And obviously we do have those 30% drops, 50% drops, whatever it may be with Bitcoin. But at the same time, if you look at the previous history, you will see that it does tend to go up in value.
I've been there before, and not too long ago, Wendy, because I gave a call to a friend of mine who works at a bank, ironically, and he is big on crypto. And he said, okay, you've got to pick this, this, and this. And I said, I blindly went in, but with the money with which I would have bought pizza and ice cream, perhaps. So it's not any more than I can lose. I mean, I can sleep well at night, but that's one mistake that people do make, don't they? Where maybe they don't have the time. They might not log on to the internet to read more about different projects, but because somebody advises them, it's a tip. In India, we call it a tip, which is a little bit of a, some rumor going around that, hey, this might go up tomorrow, and buy that. So unlike stocks, that's not the best way to look at crypto.
Yeah, don't do that. And I want to say, I'm not too sure about things in India, but I want to say there's quite a few people that do have access to Androids or to cell phones. I don't know if you guys offer India there, but I would sit at work on my cell phone and just Google stuff, like research stuff. So I don't know how different it is compared to the United States, but is it similar? Is it different?
Yes, it's very much so, because everyone has a smartphone here. So
if you guys are watching this or listening and you have a smartphone, you are smart, you are capable, and you are intelligent enough to start to kind of dive into crypto and Bitcoin and do your own research. I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm telling you to start educating yourself. Maybe you educate yourself and you decide, you know what, this isn't for me. That's okay too. But at least you've done something in a positive direction for yourself, and you've taken the time to learn about something. And that will set you apart from most other people that just click buy because they think they're going to get rich. So believe in yourself and just, take a little time and treat yourself to education.
And in one of your interviews that I read or I watched online, you say this, and I quote, don't expect that the top 20 cryptocurrencies today will be here tomorrow or in a year from now. That's not how crypto works. Now, that's a very interesting thought. And the reason that it is interesting is it is both endearing as it is scary as well. That, hey, the whole reason that I'm investing in the top 10 crypto is because what we in India call the blue chip stocks, or let's call them the Teslas of the world, where it might be a little more stable when we do a comparison with the stock markets. But when you say that you never know, is what I might read as a casual investor. So how do I get how do I approach it? Although despite the given fact, so is research and reading the only solution, and keeping in touch with what's happening with those top 20 cryptos, if there is a scam somewhere, or if it has promised X and then it is not delivering on that promise and it's taking a lot of time, so you might want to move away from it. How does one look at that?
Well, the first mistake is anticipating that the market owes you anything. The market doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your feelings. People are trading or investing in crypto to make money, to improve their quality of life. So it is a very harsh reality, but that's the truth. And if you're listening to people that are telling you that a project is going to make you X amount of dollars, that is a red flag. Anytime I do any content, the only time I talk about prices on Sunday when we're looking at charts, and we always give a bullish and a bearish scenario. But if you're listening or following somebody that's promising you a lot of gains, that's your first mistake, and you're going to lose your money because the market doesn't work that way. So part of investing in crypto and being successful is educating yourself. It's following the news, it's following what's going on. And it's also practicing risk management. And there's a website, it's called Investopedia. It is 100% free. It talks about all of these things. But it's basically saying, I'm practicing risk management is coming up with a trading or investing plan. I'm going to buy X at this price, at these prices. And if the market is bullish, I'm going to sell at these prices. And if the market is bearish, I'm going to start selling at these prices, or I'm going to cut my losses here. And this is for traders and investors. So a lot of people will think they can invest in altcoins, they can put money in, numbers going to go up, and they're going to hold on to this for like 10 years. That's not the way crypto works. We also have to pay attention to, like in the United States, most small businesses do not last. And the reason why they don't last is because owning a business is hard. A lot of these altcoins are like small businesses. And in order to run a small business, you have to know how to do taxes, you have to know finance, you have to know legal things, you have to know management, HR, supply chain, like all these different aspects. And a lot of these crypto companies function the same way. And just because these projects don't do well doesn't mean that they're necessarily scams. It's just that the team didn't have enough skills or something tech-wise changed. So that's why it's important to always aggressively take profit and to have a plan. Like if you want to invest in project X and you think you're going to invest in it for 10 years, that's ridiculous. The only project you should think about investing in long-term potentially is Bitcoin. With altcoins, you need to have an exit or entrance plan. Also, too, one of the things we talk about on my channel is a moon bag. Moonbag is going to literally be your ticket to do well in crypto. And the reason why is you invest in a project, the market starts to go up, people get excited. You want to start pulling profit out. You want to pull your profit out. You want to pull your initial investment out. And then whatever you have left, it doesn't matter if it's one coin or half of a coin or maybe 20 coins. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But at least you have removed your risk. So when we do get bearish cycles, when we get negative price fluctuation, you have removed your money and your profit. And that bag could go to zero or it could go to $1 million and you're okay. The most important thing is keeping your emotions in check. And this goes for both men and women. I think it's important for us to kind of realize that. So having a plan is going to help a lot of people, because a lot of people dump money in and they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to, hold on to this. I'm going to get rich off of this. The project goes to zero. And it's not necessarily the project's fault. It's probably their fault because they did not plan for a bearish scenario.
Right. And talking about keeping emotions in check, it's not unusual for people to check what their investments or how their investments are doing at 3 in the morning, because crypto doesn't sleep. It's just a matter of picking up that a mobile app, and these days in India as well, we've got quite a few crypto exchanges where you can buy and sell within 2 or 3 taps. So it can get addictive in that sense.
Yes, it can. But one important thing, you guys, is keep your emotions in check. Crypto is very exciting. The industry is exciting. Making money is exciting. Networking, connecting people is exciting. But take a step back and kind of manage your time really well. Like if you're invested in something, set alerts on your phone. Blockfolio, which is now FTX, like a lot of people, it's a free app. There's a lot of different portfolio tracking to where you don't have to plug in your keys or your crypto or anything like that. But you just take advantage of those apps and set price alerts. And the reason why you do that is so, like, if in fact you do need to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to sell because price went up or whatever it may be, you can do that. An alert will go off on your phone. But there's no need for you to sit up all 24 hours a day to check your portfolio. You're going to make yourself sick. You're going to make yourself tired. It is not good for your health. It's not good for your emotions. It's not good for your family. So set some boundaries for yourself and come up with something that works for you. It's super exciting, but at the same time, you don't have to be doing it 24/7, 365. Set alerts on your phone.
Right. And last couple of questions, Wendy. One is that if I may, push you today to tell us about some of the altcoin projects that you think show real progress or promise among the top 10 currencies. What might those be? The names are out there: Solana, Cardano, Link, etc. And do you and again, it's not from the perspective of mainly from the perspective of technology and the promise that they show in the future. Which ones you might say that this sounds interesting and you got to watch out for this?
So I'm not going to give you names of altcoins because I don't want people to take it and jump into it. But what I will tell you, I love Bitcoin for long-term because I feel pretty secure in it. I like stable coins. I don't know what stablecoin options are available to people in India, but I would research those because those should be backed one-to-one by your native currency. And the great thing with stable coins is on some centralized exchanges, you could leave those there and you can earn really great passive income. But of course, there's risk associated, not your keys, not your coins. But projects that me and my team are really paying attention to are metaverse play to earn projects, a lot of gaming stuff. And the reason why the gaming industry is already exploded. There's a lot of money in the gaming industry. And I think if you can spot projects that allow people globally to participate together, to play, where people can earn actual money from playing instead of having to go to a regular job, those are projects I want to invest in. Those are projects I think will perform well. And there's a couple that are already doing that. So if you're watching this, start to learn about the metaverse, start to learn about NFTs, start to learn about play to earn games, start to educate yourself on that. And I think that if once you understand how important it is, you look and see the great opportunities it can provide to people, and then you're able to base investment choices on that information that you've taught yourself, I think you'll do well.
Right, and that's very beautifully played right from the middle of the bat. That's what we call it when we use a cricketing metaphor. I mean, it's
middle of the bat.
Yes, in the middle of the bat. So the idea is to look at the project and not the name as such. And in that, it's not so much about which currency did well that week, but looking at the future potential and in the space, right, like metaverse or gaming that you mentioned. And the last one is Wendy, in terms of picking a coin, or rather, you said something interesting in the middle of this podcast where you shouldn't be holding on to an investment just for the sake of being in it for the long term, like some investors might, or some financial advisors might advise when it comes to mutual funds and these big ticket stocks. So how do we decide when to get out? And how do we know that this is not going to work as we would have liked it to? And that's a tricky question to answer. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, but how do we know when to exit? And the moon bag metaphor. So how do we know when to do that?
So before you enter into anything, you need to kind of come up with a trading or investing plan. How much disposable income are you going to use? What prices do you want to buy? I think people should learn what a limit order is, and kind of that, because that also helps with risk management. Let the market come to you, don't go to the market. What are your price targets for selling? How long do you want to hold? When do you want to exit? If the market turns bearish, how much are you willing to risk? Are you going to hold 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%, 100%? You need to figure out what makes sense for you. I can't tell you what to do. I can give guidelines to help you decide for yourself. But again, you're smart enough and you're intelligent enough to make these decisions for yourself. But the key is to having a plan and executing that plan when something happens in your trading plan or investing plan. So being self-aware, saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And if the market does good, yay. If it does bad, how much loss am I going to cut? Because you don't want to just hold to hold, but with a moon bag, you can hold it forever. And it doesn't matter if number goes up or it goes down, because you've already removed your initial investment and some profits. So you've paid yourself so that you essentially own it free and clear.
So it's more like do enjoy it. While meaning it's your money, and if you're making some profit, so do book it rather than just waiting for it. Got it. Lovely. Thank you very much, Wendy, for your time on this podcast. It was lovely having you.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, you guys just believe in yourself and continue to educate yourself. And I promise you will do well.
Thank you. Hey, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Forbes India presents ZepPay Crypto Simplified.